Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Behind the Curtain podcast of 2024. As always, I'm joined by Cole Watkins, team leader of the Bridge Group, Taylor Goldenthal, team leader of the collective at the Bridge Group, and myself, Nicola Palamento, another team leader at the Bridge Group. We are super excited to be doing our first episode of the year. We've got a lot that we want to talk through. We're going to cover a little bit about how last year went, both for our team and just the industry in general. We'll talk about our predictions for 2024. We're going to get into a really great case study. I think that is a perfect example of what good training, of what good resources, of what a team can enable an individual to do. But also, we're just super proud of one of the agents on the Bridge Group. So we're going to actually bring Britney on, and she's going to join us here in just a little bit and talk to us about how her brand new 2024 year is already starting and is already in action. We're going to cover a little bit about our upcoming Launchpad training, give you more details on that. And then we've got some recommendations for you about what you can do today that you can start implementing in your business to help you be more productive. So let's kick it off right now. 2023 year in review. How do we feel like last year went?
Best year of my life. Best year of my life. That's for sure. For those of you that don't know, we had a little baby. So did Taylor. The Bridge Group is going to multiply one way or another, and so we've taken on ourselves to have children and multiply it that way as well. But not getting a lot of sleep. I know Taylor's not either. But the show must go on. Yeah. I think if you want to talk production wise, I think we kicked ass. I think the majority of our peers in the space, especially the ones of our size, are down. They kind of their numbers trended with the down market, and we were not able to go significantly higher, but we were higher than we finished off in 2022, and I count that as a huge blessing, a huge win, and testament to the systems, the training, the leadership of the Bridge Group.
Yeah, it's the gain in production despite sales being down. So yeah, it's a very small incremental gain, maybe year over year in terms of volume sold, transaction count. But when you factor in the market share, that's really a massive jump in market share year over year.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at just real estate as a whole, though, I mean, sales were down essentially across the board for basically the entire industry. So for us to be able to say, hey, we actually were up on sales, is not just big for us locally or just us personally as a team, but across the board, that is not a normal thing that most people are able to claim because real estate sales are down due to the big elephant in the room that we're all aware of, which is interest rates. I mean, they went up to, if we're talking about year in review, that was the biggest deal is October of 2022 started bringing us higher interest rates, and they eventually peaked at 8%. Which means it sidelined a lot of people who were potentially going to be buying and selling in 2023. They just didn't because they wanted to wait. And I think also the thing that was looming over everybody's heads, maybe not us, but everybody's heads, was a potential crash. What if this thing crashes? The industry is just going to fall apart because of these interest rates. And we kept saying crash is not on the way. This is not something that's going to happen. And lo and behold, we were correct. We were looking at the data and saying there's just not enough homes that are available despite these interest rate rises to cause a crash like what most people were expecting, and it didn't happen. And so now, towards the very end of the year, we got that glimmer of hope that maybe rates are going to keep coming down. The Fed said, hey, 3 more rate drops in 2024. So I think that that's great news. What I think, I guess, is also bad news that happened last year is the loss of agent count. Right? The amount of people that did not renew their license or they just got out of the business altogether. We were talking about this towards the end of last year. 48,000 agents is what we started with, and we ended at like 42,000, right?
Yeah, in the Houston market for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Taylor, I think you had some numbers on like the national market as far as how many agents we started with, how many we finished with. And it was like 100,000 or something like that.
Yeah, there's there were 1.4 million registered realtors January of 2023. That's realtors, not just license holders, but registered with the National Association of Realtors. And 4.8 million sales, we're talking three sales per average agent in the country. So if we look at like the Houston market, for example, what's that $400,000 average price point? You're looking at $36,000 in GCI, and that's before the broker gets their money. That's before, if you're on a team, there's a team split. That's before expenses, mileage, taxes. So I think it really paints that picture as to why we saw so many agents leave. Raise your hand if you can live on $36,000 a year, let alone the 22, 24 that you'd end up with after all expenses.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we see it all the time. All three of us are interviewing agents every single week, looking and talking to them about, hey, what are you looking for? What do you want to make? And the gap is huge between what they actually make in real estate and what they want to make. They just have no idea how to get there. And I think we're actually going to be talking about a little bit of that today. I know that we want to talk about the forecast of 2024. Taylor, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, so we've already seen rates come down quite a bit. They're down. I've seen rates in the low sixes, and that's for a 30-year fix for particular buyers with great credit and whatnot. But your average rate's around 6.5, 6.75, which is going to save you on your run-of-the-mill home several $100s a month in terms of your monthly payment with interest. I think regardless of interest rates, what they were going to do, we were going to see a rebound this year anyway. Just because of the simple fact of you can tell your spouse, your kids, your whoever for a certain period of time that, no, listen, honey, we're not going to move. I know we need more space, but I'm not going to do it. The market's going to crash. You can only say that for so long until you have to make a move. You can only stay in too small of an area or in a bad area or what have you for so long. So I think coupled with just the fact that we had so many people on the fence for going on 2 years now, some of them were going to come off the fence regardless. And then we have an election. We're in an election year. The Feds have announced several rate drops already on the horizon coming up in the future. Everyone's magic number was like 6% flat. We're almost there already. So I think with those three factors, just the stated rate drops, the pent-up demand and the deferred transactions that we're going to transact this year regardless anyway, and then the election year, which sure, some people like clutch their pearls and they're like, oh no, nothing, I don't trust the economy. But most people take advantage of a strong economy in an election year because everybody wants to get reelected or elected, so they're going to make everything look good. So I think last year, for a lot of agents, it was the year of survival, right? I have to survive 2023. I have to make sure that I'm still there in 2024 to see the horizon. And those of us that gained market share are going to crush it. Those of us that held on and learned how to survive and kind of like just make it in the mud, they're going to turn that corner and have a really good year, I think, as well. And it's just going to be a matter of staying front and center with people. And it's an endurance sport, it's an endurance game. So keeping your foot on the pedal and pushing forward. But I have great hopes and expectations for this year personally. I know myself, I'm having a great start to the year. A lot of our agents are having fantastic starts to the year as well in their production. And hopefully that trend continues on a national level as well.
One thing I think that if we could give like an actionable, item here for people to act on, that if you're watching this and you're in real estate sales, I was talking to Manny today. We do one-on-ones on our team, and I was talking to one of our agents, Manny, who just had his best year ever in a down market in 2023, selling 19 properties. He was telling me the biggest impact that was made on his business in 2023 was picking up the phone and calling people. Yes. In 2023, picking up the phone and actually having conversation with people. Now that's foreign to me because I hate calling people. I hate being on the phone. I'd rather text, but texting and emailing are not as personable, and it can't get across the urgency of the interest rates dropping and what we need to do right now in order to beat the rush that we saw in 2020, 2021. So I think that, Manny, who has 6 listings going into 2024 and 5 hot buyers. He's got a pipeline over 10 right now that are very serious and going to transact in the next quarter. That's amazing. That's coming from someone very experienced. And then Nikki, I was talking to her today on her one-on-one. We have online leads at the Bridge Group, and she was saying how, those online leads she's been getting and just been calling them. Calling back in her hour of power every morning, and she set up 2 buyer appointments with those online leads that were given to her in December. And so, right now, I think that if you're going to have an actionable item on everything that Taylor just said, it is to call every one of those every one of those buyers that backed out, busted out, or just took a back seat because of the interest rates in the last year and a half. If you do that, then you're going to get them on board with you. If you don't, they're going to walk into my open house this weekend and I'm going to take them from you. That's just how it goes.
I think for our more seasoned agents that have been in the game for several years now as well, calling all of the people that you've ever sold a home to and just, hey, sharing the news about the homestead exemption and the new rules there, offering an update, a market update report on your house. Let me get you an equity check. See how much equity you gained in 2023. You can use this for your tax protests, things of that nature. But rather than just sending that generic email, picking up the phone and calling, making sure you can speak to them on the phone, and you dangle a couple $100,000 in equity in front of somebody, and then you say, oh, and by the way, have you heard about what's happening with interest rates? There's a sell and a buy for you. Maybe they weren't willing to do it last year, but if you sold them that house 3-4 years ago, they're sitting on a good chunk of equity. And if they can get themselves a 6%, 5 3/4 rate later this year, I think you jump on that.
Yeah, I think something else to keep in mind is what we talked about, that happened last year was this drop in agent count. If you're looking at 2024 and you're trying to figure out like, where am I going to land? How am I going to perform this year? Keep in mind there is, even though maybe the overall, count of transactions has gone down, the amount of transactions per agent is now up, right? If we're talking about here now, obviously nationally, but if we're just looking at our numbers for 2024 and how many agents we're starting the year off with, there's more business to go around. Even if we did the same amount of transactions as we did last year, there's more to go around per agent. So now is still an opportunity because, I don't know about you guys. I don't think there's going to be this mass entry of new agents into the market. I think there's still enough uncertainty for kind of, I guess I would say maybe part-time agents or agents who aren't really sure this isn't their career, where they're going to still be a little bit scared about it being risky. They're hoping that if those rates get down to a 3 or 4, then maybe they'll jump in and they'll start trying to work up some business. But at a 6%, it's still kind of tough. So I think we're still going to end up at either the same agent count, or I think it's going to go down even more, not to mention with the looming NAR lawsuit and everything that happened there last year and the potential change in buyer agency. I think it's risky for somebody who's not doing this as a career and who doesn't see who doesn't run this like a business. If they're just kind of doing it as a hobby, I don't think they're going to get back in. So there's more business to go around just from that.
Well, I think that number is going to be cut, maybe not in half, but like significantly, way more than what it was if that NAR lawsuit has any impact on buyer agent or buyer agency and commission and the way that that's played out, big time. And so there could be agents that just go back to a 9-to-5, or they submit their resume, or they, whatever, and they're maybe more of a part-time. But I think that that's going to have an extreme impact on our industry if that happens. That's why big players right now are going all in on listings, That's because that's going to be the way to guarantee you get paid with all this uncertainty. But right now, we're continuing to kick ass in the way that we usually do, and I think that we want to hear from someone that is continuing to kick ass and really turned it up. Turned it up in the fourth quarter, just like turned on and said, hey, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And in December, got 5 contracts executed, and is, even before this call, was telling us of everything else that she has coming in the next couple of weeks. I want to talk to her and find out what the hell's going on. If I'm out there, if I'm in her situation, and I was at one time. I love listening to things like this. It inspired me. It let me know that there was hope. I was doing nothing but leases, and I was like, when am I ever going to sell a property? Hearing from someone like Britney, who we're about to have on here in just a minute, was massive encouragement to me, and allowed me to have some endurance and keep going. So, Nick, you want to bring Britney on?
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
What is up, Britney? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing good. Hey, I know that we kind of talked about it in our wins and lessons. We celebrated quite a bit. I think that you guys started popping champagne bottles in the office afterwards, celebrating. So go ahead, talk to me about your December. What did that look like?
Yeah, all year last year, I was a newer agent, my first year in the business, just struggling, but staying consistent because, I had grown my own training business, and I knew that, that first couple of years can be tough, and you just got to stay the course, and then eventually all the hard work will start paying off. So, same thing going into the fall, just doing my open houses, doing my follow up, prospecting, circle prospecting, door knocking. And then, December hits, and I actually had a client that I met in an open house. She wanted to go ahead and buy her second property in a. She's a cash buyer, and so she comes to me. She's like, "I'm ready to buy my second property." So I got that contract at the beginning of December, and then I had another listing that I had listed in November, went under contract shortly after that. And then I had some buyers that I met in an open house earlier in the year, finally decided that they were ready, and they found a home that they loved and were ready to put an offer in, and did a really good job negotiating for them and got them under contract. And then
that's what I want to talk about, Britney, is that. And I think that everyone listening to this right now that's what they want to hear about is well, yeah, like you got this business, but where did it come from, right? What did Britney do to get this business? And what we talked about on Monday was it was kind of strange, because it's not like Britney can go and say, well, I went and did this one thing, and all of this business came to me from my Facebook post or an open house or whatever. And I know that you've been doing very well in open houses with conversion and follow up and things like that. But I do want to speak to we dialed in and we said there actually was this one thing that Britney was doing that brought her all of this business and allowed her to keep all of this business. We went through option period on all of them. We're out of the option period. We're ready to go to closing table. But that one thing we all agreed on was consistency. That Britney in the past had agreed and said, I just wasn't as consistent with putting myself in front of people that need to transact, that need to buy or sell. And so I think that over the year, you've learned prospecting is the queen bee of our business. And if we're not consistently putting ourselves in the right position, there's no reason they should use us, because we're not in front of them, right?
Yeah.
It's always that open house that you didn't decide to do the last Sunday of the month, or that last door that you skipped, or that last street that you skipped when you were door knocking. That's where the client was waiting.
Right. Yeah. It is 100% consistency. The consistency of prospecting, and not just that. Because you can meet, 100 people a month, 100 new people a month, but if you're not following up or building those relationships and strengthening those connections, then you still not going to use you. You've got to constantly be putting yourself in front of these people. That's one thing I'm really grateful. The Bridge Group, the training, the launch pad, everything that you guys provide for us, the database, emails, that's keeps me in front of people that I meet, because if you do meet a lot of people, it's hard to build relationships with 100 people a month. But you focus on the people that are more serious or have a shorter timeline, and then the passive follow up with the database emails every week keeps you top of mind with everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one thing I want to come back to, something you were talking about is, there's accountability at the Bridge Group and I feel like hearing one of the stories that Nick was telling in a very good way, kind of I go back to church sometimes and say praise report. I don't know why I do that in my head, but, kind of a good news. But he was telling someone about, Brittany had been doing open houses for quite a while. And then there was just one open house or 1 week where she was like, hey, I need to come and just kind of check out one of Nick's open houses and relearn this, because what I'm doing is not, giving me an ROI or return on my investment of time. And it was almost right after that open house, things just started clicking, in Brittany's conversion and her follow up, in her, just demeanor there at the open house, and which led to a lot more business. Nick, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think it's you can say the right words and you can say the right things, but say them in the wrong way. We say that a lot, and so that's why at the Bridge Group we do a communication and role play class. That's why we have Launchpad with the training that we do, is because we know that you could be at the open house and you could be introducing yourself, but be introducing yourself in a way that's not going to lend itself to creating a connection with somebody. My cat has decided to play with things on my desk. So if you see me constantly reaching, he is being so awful right now. I don't normally I don't want to ever throw a cat, but right now I kind of want to throw him. And he thinks it's like a game. So anyways, but you could be saying the right things, but if we're not paying attention to, hey, how is my body language to the other person? And am I reading their body language? Am I listening to what they're saying? And rather than thinking about how to respond, am I actually listening to what's their core, what's their problem? What's their pain point or pleasure point? So a lot of what we went over that day was just like, hey, okay, go greet somebody at the door. Let me just watch and see what you do. And then afterwards, I was able to say, hey, let me give you some feedback. Let's look at our volume. How loud are we speaking? I'm a yeller, very much so. And so
we all are. Me, you, and Taylor all yell.
Yeah, well, Britney is also a yeller.
I yell too.
Yeah, you are. I think we all need to get our hearing checked, is what I think.
I think that comes from, your background in fitness and coaching people, right? So you're used to yelling at somebody, telling them to do another push-up or do one more rep. But I'm like, hey, the person at the door is not a coaching client. We don't want to yell at them. And it was very unintentional. I don't think in any way that you wanted to yell. I think it's just sometimes we don't have the ability to see what others see and to hear what others hear. So it's almost like being a mirror to say like, oh, I didn't know that I sounded like that. I didn't know that that's how I was talking to people. So I encourage anybody out there, if you're ever in a situation where you're not getting the conversions that you want, that's the benefit of shadowing a more experienced person, even a peer. And now, you want to make sure it's a peer that's actually accomplishing something and selling some houses. Not just anybody. But at the end of the day, like being able to have somebody give you some feedback on what you sound like, what you look like, is what I'm saying, translating the way that I think that it's coming out. That can be an important key to sort of unlocking that conversion, where sometimes it's just like, I don't know where that tipping point is and I'm not sure how to get there. And that's what shadowing comes in.
Well, I think that also the other thing I would say about Britney, and the whole reason why she was able to have success after that, is because she's coachable. And, that's something that not a lot of agents are, or not a lot of people have the capability to be coachable, because it involves being critiqued. Right. I don't know about you, but I want to make money and I want to serve my clients the best I can. So I'm going to learn from someone that has done this over and over and over and over again. And if they tell me like, hey, do this, don't do this, that's what I'm going to do. They know better. And I'm not going to take offense to it. And I think Britney, coming from a background of training and critiquing form and making sure that I'm not telling you not to do this because it's not fun. It's just you're going to break your back. If you keep doing this exercise that way, that's the same way. And so I feel like she is coachable, was able to take those critiques, run with it, and make quite a bit of money. You also have a lot of listings and new business coming up that hasn't even transacted, but new listings coming up from relationships you've made in BNI and open houses and so forth, right?
Yes. I have a new listing coming live tomorrow. And then I just got a phone call today that another referral from a client that I've been working with, he wants to list his property next week.
Badass. Well, hey, Brittany, congratulations so much to a very, very productive December. But, we know that whatever we transact in December most likely is going to be closing in the new year. And so you've really kind of kickstarted your 2024 in a huge way. So congratulations on that. And thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Keep doing it.
All right. Awesome. Launchpad. I think that probably is the best segue into it, because Britney is a student of Launchpad, and I think she's actually gone through it maybe 1.5 times, joined us again, and it never hurts to do that. But
if there's one thing I can say about Britney, and with regards to Launchpad or with training, is she doesn't miss it. Whereas many other agents would say, oh, I've gone through it before, there's nothing more for me to learn. As soon as we put up another Launchpad, she'll join. And I think that, again, it goes, yes, it's consistency, but it's that desire to learn, that desire to be coachable. And I say like, hey, if my numbers aren't where I want them to be, there's something that I need to learn. So, and I think as long as you can kind of keep that coachable way of living, regardless of how much you've done. Like every time I get on these podcasts or every time we meet on our Friday leadership meeting, there's always things that I'm learning. So you don't ever feel like you've arrived. But I just want to shout her out for that as well, just because she showed up and she went to the classes again, even though she'd gone through them before. And she displayed a lot of humility. She never once made it seem like this isn't something that she needed or she didn't have anything else to learn there. So.
Yeah. Samantha too. She wouldn't join us, but she's got 1.3 million closing in January with buyers. Yep. Had a killer end of the year, and I think a couple of listings in the pipeline already as well. And she went through Launchpad twice. So proof is in the pudding for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so Launchpad is our we've talked about it on BTC before, but Launchpad is our training program that we've created. It's a 30-day training program, and so it essentially covers all the topics that we feel like make somebody a top producing real estate agent. So we're talking about your mindset. We're talking about your calendar and the habits of top producers, how to build a referral-based business, how to actually host an open house, how to become the #1 agent in the community that you live in, how to do social media, right? And how to actually leverage it, how to get a buyer to work with you. You know, you're doing all these open houses every single weekend, but you're not getting any leads. You're not converting anybody. How do we do that? How do you actually determine market value and be accurate in determining it? How to win and leverage a listing. So when Britney gets a listing, she turned that listing into 2 more listings. Yep. That is an example of leveraging, right? Thinking on your feet, right? So being able to react quickly in a situation and not get stuck, not knowing what to say when you're in front of a potential lead. How to influence others. We're not here to make people do what they don't want to do, but we do want to influence them to make smart decisions, to make good decisions, to make timely decisions. And so part of that is how you say the right words. And then lastly, I think we run into this all the time, and it's something that we do at the Bridge Group as leaders, but saving deals. How to deal doctor when something is going sideways and it's not going the way that you expect it to go. Don't just let it fall away and let it crash and burn and turn into a big goose egg, but how do we save a deal so that it still ends up being a paycheck for us and our clients still get a win? So these are just the Monday through Wednesday classes that we're going to do for 4 weeks. So it's 30 days, 3 days a week. We meet at our office, or you can join online if maybe you're not able to join in person. You have a job, you have other things going on. We really want to make it possible for as many agents to be able to be a part of this as we can, and it's free. And it doesn't matter if you're at a different brokerage than us. Doesn't matter if you're on another team. We welcome any and all agents to come and be a part of it.
Yeah, this is something that I think we put together. Just saying, man, I wish I knew these things starting in real estate, right? Just as if, I wish they would have included this in our real estate school, Champion School of Real Estate, or really they're teaching you not how to not get sued, but this is teaching you how to actually put that license to use and make some money. So this is and really build a business, build a career by doing these things and having a business, not just a cash grab or a hobby.
So if you want to be a part of Launchpad and you want to get the same exact training that Britney has gone through multiple times, that Taylor and Cole helped teach with myself as well, if you want that same training and you would like to have 5 contracts in 3 weeks, then come be a part of Launchpad. So if you want that, we'll actually have a link to register. So if you're watching this through the BTC email, there is a link in that email. And if you're watching this on YouTube or on social media, we'll have a link in the description as well. So click the link, register, let us know that you want to be a part of this so we can make sure that we send you out not only the calendar, but we actually send out links for you to be able to join the classes, and we record all the classes. So as long as you register to be a part of Launchpad, let's say that there's a class that you're not able to make it to, you're going to get the recording from it. If you don't register, we don't have your email, there's no way for us to give you those recordings. So again, this is something that's free. We don't charge you anything to be a part of it. So sign up. Be a part of it. Come to as many classes as you can. We'd love to see you in person. We think it's a great time. There's a lot of energy in the room, and it's a little bit easier to ask your questions and to get feedback on things and to troubleshoot stuff that you're going through in your own business when you're there physically. So if you can be there in person, we always encourage that. So again, register as soon as you can. Let us know that you want to be a part of it. I'm super excited. The last 3 classes in week 4 are actually new classes. So if you're watching this and you did Launchpad last time, maybe you attended it one of the quarters last year, we actually have new courses as well. So this is something that we're always trying to improve and to do better. We try to get feedback from people. What do they want to learn? And we're always examining our businesses and the businesses of the agents that we coach and looking for opportunities to provide better training or more training on things that maybe we didn't get a chance to cover last time because we didn't really realize that that was something that people needed to learn. And so that's what has caused us to add a few new classes here. So super pumped for it. It will be January 15th is the first class. So not too much longer. We're about 11 days away from the start of Launchpad. So get your ducks in a row, get signed up. We'd love to see you there.
And this is for agents of all skill sets and levels of experience as well. Whether you've been doing this for years and you've got tens of millions in sales, or you're brand new, just starting off. I sit in just about every class as well, even the ones that I don't teach. And I come away with something like a little nugget or something of value from every single class with my experience as well. So by all means, any levels of experience, we'd love to see you at all classes. But if there's just a handful that stick out to you, something's better than nothing for sure.
Yeah, agreed. It's not just for new agents. This is for experienced agents. Maybe last year was not the year that you anticipated it being. The rates kind of threw a wrench into your plans. Maybe you closed out the year only getting 10 when you were hoping to get 15. This is still something that you can learn and apply. These are they're not secrets, so to speak, but we're open books. We don't have anything to hide. So we're literally giving you the keys to the kingdom. These are the silver bullets. This is what we use in our business. We have nothing that we want to keep from you. So we're going to share all the stuff. It's just whether you want to put it into practice. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you're new or an experienced agent. There's something to learn here.
Yeah, I know that, team leads and brokers are sending their agents to this so that they can, literally, like, it's not a secret. They're not trying to tiptoe around their broker or team lead. They're sending them to it because they know that it works. The proof is in the pudding. And if you look at our agents who go through this and are actually turning around transactions, much like Britney and Samantha and Tyler and everyone that has gone through it and immediately started producing, it's a great environment to learn in as well and collaborate. Cool. Awesome. I'm excited about it. And I think we only have about 5 or 6 more spots left. So as of today, that is we're almost at capacity of 20. And I think between now and the 15th, we'll definitely be able to fill that.
Awesome. Well, to wrap up the podcast today, we like to have a segment that we want to add to the end of each podcast moving forwards, where we want to give you our recommendations on tools, apps, resources, things that can help you be more efficient. And Cole has a special recommendation for you guys this week.
Yeah, so we were like, should it be this software? Should it be this this gimbal, or anything that can help us do our job better? And I want to start off with just a very simple $15-$20 grab from maybe Home Depot, office supply store, Office Max, Amazon, whatever, and it's just a whiteboard. Maybe not that whiteboard. That whiteboard's at our office, and I'm sure that's a lot more than $15-$20. But a whiteboard to set up your lead board. There's absolutely no way you can tell if you're winning or losing in anything without a scoreboard, and that's ultimately what this whiteboard becomes, is a scoreboard to show who are the buyers that I'm under contract with, who are the sellers that I'm listing their properties, and where's the pipeline of buyers and sellers, hot, warm, and cold, that I need to be following up with. And so it has all of that information on there. And if you're not looking at this on a daily basis, then how do you know if you're winning or losing? This is what we went over this last Tuesday, I guess. We didn't have team on Monday because it's New Year's, but Tuesday we went over with our agents, and every single one of our agents is to have this, where I watched agents leave the team or after team meeting and come back to the office with their whiteboard to set it up in this way. This is exactly what I did in the very beginning of my business, and it was a check-in for me every day. I did what's called an hour of power, and I would sit there and I would follow up with every single person that was in my hot, warm, and cold to get them into one of those slots of buyers and sellers. Lastly, for me, and I'll let you guys talk about it a little bit more, is that I think too many people focus on, I need buyers, I need sellers. And they don't focus on the pipeline, because that's where they go first. They're a prospect before they're a client. Once they're a buyer, once they're a seller, they're a client. But you got to follow up with prospects. And how do you know who to follow up with? How many times you've touched them? When the last touch was? How it was? Was it email, call, text? All of these different things we need to document, because you can't manage what you're not tracking. And so if you're tracking this, you have their name up on a board and you're looking at it daily, I can guarantee you results with that kind of action, that they're going to go into the buyer or seller slot. Without that, guess what? They're going to get lost. And that you're going to forget their name. You're going to forget to follow up with them. Or you're simply just going to say, hey, they're ghosting me. I'm not going to follow up with someone that doesn't want my services, and so forth. And that's a great way to lose a lot of business.
All right. That is our final time slot, I guess, for this episode. Thank you guys for joining us for another Behind the Curtain episode. We covered a lot this time around, but again, final reminder, Launchpad starts January 15th. Click the link in the email or in the description below if you're watching online. We'd love to see you there starting January 15th. That is only 11 days away. And with that being said, that's all for us today, and we will see you guys on the next one.